We've gotten new information regarding EA Sports College Football over the past few days, so we're going to go over those things in this video. So most recently, and probably most importantly, yesterday, the 25th of January, Brandon Marcello confirmed that an Ultimate Team mode is going to be in EA Sports College Football. So that wasn't really breaking news. It wasn't huge news. For some reason, 24/7 Sports acted like it was huge news, but it was still confirmation of a game mode in EA Sports College Football that had not previously been confirmed. In fact, the last time Brandon Marcello reported on Ultimate Team, he said it was not in the works, and that was over a year ago. So now we know that it is confirmed, but the more important part about this is that it's going to consist of college football legends. So we're going to see guys like Vince Young and Tim Tebow and Cam Newton, Julio Jones, Desmond Howard, all those guys we're going to be able to play with. But I think what's cooler about that is that we're also probably going to be able to play with guys like Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, guys that we didn't get to play with previously because those games never existed. And I know a lot of people see Ultimate Team and get very worried because the current state of Ultimate Team in Madden and FIFA is just pay to win microtransactional garbage. So I totally get it. I'm not really going to be the most hopeful for the Ultimate Team mode, but a lot of people are saying that because it's Ultimate Team that it's a Madden reskin. But that doesn't really make sense because NCAA 14 had Ultimate Team. We've seen Ultimate Team before. So Ultimate Team is not inherently bad. It's just how EA goes about it. So hopefully, since we have original members of the NCAA football series working on this game, hopefully they can create a good, solid Ultimate Team mode. I'll be honest, I doubt it because EA's got their greedy corporate hands on that. So I doubt the game mode is going to be anything different than we see in Madden and FIFA. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a Madden reskin. The game still, I expect it to be completely different than Madden. But going along with that, the good news about this is that it confirms there's going to be CFB legends in the game. So hopefully we can see those legends in other parts of the game, in other game modes. I would love to be able to see you be able to go into Dynasty mode and turn on a setting to include these college football legends, and then imagine you go into recruiting and 1 year you see 5-star Lamar Jackson, and you're like, what the heck? And you can just recruit Lamar Jackson to your team as if he had never actually played at Louisville before or something like that. I think that would be super cool, but also maybe there's a chance we see all-time teams, so you'll see random teams like 2019 LSU and 2001 Miami. So I really don't care that much about Ultimate Team, but College Football Legends is pretty cool. Hopefully we see them in other parts of the video game other than just Ultimate Team. Another thing Brandon Marcello mentioned that I thought was actually pretty interesting is that some of these schools, I know he mentioned Arkansas State, some of them have been missing deadlines to send in assets and pictures of players and different things to EA to put in the game, which sounds like a bad thing, which I guess it's not a good thing. But what he said is that EA was like, fine, we'll do it ourselves. And he said they literally have been hiring third-party photographers and videographers to go to these schools to capture assets for the video game. So out of all the bad things you hear about EA these days, this is probably one of the best things I've heard about EA. They are literally going to these schools to take pictures and video to put into the video game themselves because some of the schools were slacking or were reluctant to send in assets. So EA literally took it upon themselves to go take these pictures and these videos. The last thing I'll mention that Brandon Marcello said is actually kind of cool is because he said right before he hopped on the interview, he was like, oh, I just heard that a leaked commercial was posted on Instagram, and obviously he's referring to the photo shoot of the commercial that I posted on Instagram. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing that he mentioned something I posted. So that was the information from Brandon Marcello as of yesterday. And then a couple days before that, on the 23rd, Matt Brown released another Extra Points newsletter with information regarding EA Sports College Football. So now we'll hop into that. So as always, definitely go check out Matt Brown and his newsletter. It's super interesting. It's got a lot of good information, but he's been the one that's been getting all this information for the most part for this new game, so definitely go check him out. All credit goes to him. So in the newsletter, he talks about how EA Sports is going to be putting real players into the new college football video game. Now, we kind of have known this for a while now, but he goes into a little more detail. So through an open records request, Matt Brown obtained an email from an EA Sports senior manager that was sent to a Big 12 school. We don't know which Big 12 school. He just said a Big 12 institution. And this email is from late August 2023. So it was a few months ago, several months ago. So the email is asking this Big 12 school to send picture headshots of their student athletes so that EA can start preparing to create their likeness in the new game. So it reads, "We intend to use student athlete photo assets for reference in our creation of student athlete likenesses. We do not intend to use the photo assets themselves in the game. Our initial in-game likeness plans will approximate eyes, hair, skin tone, hairstyles, etc., and we intend to improve, refine, and update our ability to portray these student athlete likenesses over time." So basically, EA is asking this school, hey, can you send us pictures of your players so we can start creating them in the game? We're not going to actually put the pictures in the game. We just need the pictures for reference. I imagine EA has pretty advanced technology and AI capabilities where they can upload these pictures or whatever, and then their program, their software is going to kind of recreate these faces in the video game. Because obviously they can't have 10,000, 11,000 student athletes come to their studio and do a bunch of face scans. You know, that's easier in a game like Madden where you have way less players, but when you have 130 plus teams, you can't put that many face scans and you can't, physically have all these people come to your studio. And EA even alludes to this because they say our team expects to create more human likenesses at one time than has ever been attempted in video game history. Like never before in the history of video games has a publisher, has a company tried to create this many real people in a video game at one time. So it's a pretty big undertaking from EA, and that's why, this email is from August 2023. That's why they started early working on this, and it's also probably why they delayed the game a year, is to be able to get this done. And so they said that in the email, we are seeking photo assets now in order to be ready to proceed if student athletes elect to be in the game as we complete development work for a 2024 game release. So there it is again. For those who don't believe this game's coming out, there's them again saying 2024 game release. And throughout this email as well, EA makes it clear, they list it in multiple places, that they're only going to use a player's likeness if they opt into the contract, if they opt into the game. And so we've talked about this before as well, that EA is using an opt-in process for players, that they have to voluntarily sign over their NIL for EA to use it. Now, Matt Brown mentions in this newsletter that those contracts have not yet been sent out to the players. And that's because rosters change so much, especially over the offseason. He said these aren't going to be sent out till after the spring games and after the spring transfer portal window. That way, once the rosters are more set in stone, then they'll send out these contracts. That way, they don't send them out earlier, and then the rosters are completely different by the time this game is about to come out. And that leads me into the second part of this video. So Matt Brown also did an interview with Benjamin Criddle. He is a BYU sports analyst, commentator. He's on ESPN Radio, I assume in Utah. And Matt Brown went on air with him and talked about the new video game. And I'm going to paraphrase what Matt Brown said in that interview, but basically at one point he was talking about the contract situation with putting these real players in the video game. And he said there's basically going to be two types of contracts. There's going to be the standard one that every single player gets if they opt into the game. It's going to be super basic. Basically, you're just signing over your name, image, and likeness. So it's going to have, your name's going to be in the game, your hometown's going to be in your game, your height and your weight's going to be in the game. It's clearly going to be you in the video game. The second contract will be for guys that are engaged in marketing purposes, so commercials or social media posts. And we talked about in one of our previous videos as well that Matt Brown said a few guys may get face scans, and I said I assume those guys that get face scans are going to be the ones involved in marketing. So I think this secondary deal for the guys doing the marketing, the players doing the marketing, will probably also be the guys getting the face scans, or at least some of them. And these contracts will be individually negotiated with those players. So if the initial standard contract only pays, I know there were reports that said $500, you might get $500 to be in the game, and Matt Brown said maybe a free copy of the game too. But the secondary deals with specific players for marketing purposes, who knows what those will be? Those will be individually negotiated, so you might, get paid 10 grand to promote the game. But I really liked what Matt Brown said in this interview. He said, regardless of what that standard contract pays for every single player, it's only going to be a few $100 probably. He said most of these guys are going to do it. Like everybody, it's not about the money. They want to be in the video game. He said they'll be immortalized forever, meaning they're going to live on forever. They're forever going to be in this video game. So that was everything new about putting real players in the game. Another topic that Matt Brown brought up in the interview was the release date, because I know there was the report, the rumor that July 12th was the release date. And Matt Brown basically said that even EA doesn't know the exact release date. Maybe it's possible that July 12th has been thrown around at EA as a possible release date. But he said the release date is a logistical issue because it involves trucks, it involves retail space, it involves a lot of people that aren't developing the game. Like EA physically has to have physical copies of the game on the shelf at GameStop and Walmart, wherever else they're sold. So if those stores can't get them in on July 12th for whatever reason, then the release date is not going to be July the 12th. Maybe it has to be the following Friday. And so that's an interesting thing that I think a lot of us don't think about, is that there's so much going on with video game development. It's not just the people literally working on the game. So I figured I would just throw that information in here because it's good to keep in mind when we're waiting for a release date. And I'm going to finish this video with what Matt Brown said to finish his newsletter, is that he said, yes, the game is still coming out this summer. No, nothing has changed since the College Football National Championship. So I know people are freaking out, but little by little, we're getting a little more information. And here in the next month or two, EA is gonna break the silence. They're gonna say something. They have to. And when they do, I'll definitely keep y'all updated. Definitely follow me on Instagram, bring NCAA back. I think when the game comes out, I'll probably just change the username to TubbyLight to match the YouTube. And definitely subscribe here as well, because I'm going to continue updating and uploading about this game.